You know what? Not going to happen, right? They won't bring that money back over here. We talked about that earlier. They're going to leave it over there and maybe sell those companies to European companies, and we'll lose even more jobs in America. Why don't we do what Reagan did? Again, not a new concept by me. Why don't we repatriate that money? Let's pick a figure, 10%. Probably would do it. That'd be $60 billion that would come back into America. $540 billion come back to America, Texas, and right here in Houston to hire people, to build, to expand, and do the things that we need to be doing. So we need to also, you know, I was reading about this the other day, we need to bring back the old 10% investment tax credit. You all remember that, where you could buy a piece of equipment and you could take a tax credit the year you bought it. We need to make sure that we can allow manufacturing to write off 100% of equipment that they purchased this year, okay, which will spur buying equipment and put people to work. Those are the kind of things we need to be talking about. You know, we talk about how we passed the Bush tax cuts, you know, in December, but we really didn't in a way, because we took the inheritance tax from 0 to 35%, and we extend unemployment benefits out past 99 weeks, you see. So we need to get serious about what we're doing, and if we'll turn the entrepreneur loose, if we'll turn small business owners like ourselves loose, we will get us out of the mess. But the government got us in the mess. They cannot get us out. And right now, if you're like me, you got your hands up playing defense because you don't know where we are in health care. You don't know where we are in taxes. You don't know where we are in cap and trade. You don't know where we are in card check. You don't know where we are in anything. So as we would do, we play defense. And that's just the wrong way to get us out of this mess that we're in. So all I'm saying is those are the kind of things we need to do. And if we did those things, I'm convinced that we all would begin to hire. We get our shareholders together, we get our stockholders together, and we could begin to do the things we do best, which is take risk and be rewarded. But you cannot improve this economy we're in unless you start letting all of us make money. I'm so tired of hearing profit is a dirty word. Profit's the greatest thing there is. And we got to begin to make profits again, so we can expand and hire people. And if we make money, you know what we'll do? We'll take those people off the unemployment rolls. We'll begin to hire and put them back to work. But you can't be extending unemployment benefits forever and ever. Who the heck pays for that? We pay for that, you see. So we got to get back to where it was at 26 weeks and do those kind of things. But we got to empower entrepreneurs. We got to empower individuals to get us out of this mess. And that will create jobs. The other thing we got to do is make sure the government gets out of the healthcare business. This is the worst thing in the world, to have the government in the healthcare business. We need to make health care, we need to make it portable. We as individuals need to own it. It needs to be tax deductible. We need to have tort reform in there, and let us shop across state lines and let competition work. Competition will drive premiums down and will drive service up. There's 1,800 people, or 1,800 insurance companies right now that love to bid on our business, and we need to let them do it. And there's 90% of us that have health care, 10% that don't. I've never figured out why this administration wanted to penalize the 90 and reward the 10. I think if everybody wants it, if they want it, they should be able to get it. But we can't force it down people's throat. And I will tell you this: if we turn health care ownership over to the individuals rather than businesses, in many cases, having to supply it, well, businesses will also reap the benefit of not having to pay those high premiums. It'll go to their bottom line. It'll be cash in the bank, and they'll hire people. My small business, if you take the health care responsibility away from my business, it's $16,000 a month to my bottom line. Times 12, that's pretty big money to a small business. That's the difference between profitable and not profitable. It's cash in the bank. I'll pay taxes. I'll expand and go hire one of those guys that's on the unemployment rolls now for over 99 weeks. That's just the way it works. And even cutting the employment taxes. This administration, you know, one of the things they did, they cut the employees' payroll tax. You remember that, starting this year? But they didn't do anything for the employer. So why not cut the employer's payroll tax? That goes to the bottom line. That's cash in the bank. That's more profit. You hire more people, put more people to work. That's the kind of dialogue we need to be having from our representatives, our senators up in Washington, and in many cases we are not getting it. There's an answer for everything. We as entrepreneurs don't make it up. It works. It's called capitalism. It's called free markets. It's called competition. We've got answers to why it works. We just need to have people make sure they know how to give the answers and explain it with a smile on their face. So let's get out of health care. And then one other thing, and I'll begin to close, is we need to become independent on this energy situation. I'm so tired of hearing everybody talk about we need to be independent, but yet we don't let anybody do anything in the energy sector. And you merely have to look what's happened last week over in the Middle East. That'll scare you to death. If you're talking about somebody getting mad and shutting that Suez Canal down or whatever, we could be in a real bind. We've got to open up our energy. We've got to make it so we can drill 50 miles in the coast. We've got to drill at Anwar. We've got to do all those things. We also got to understand that I, for one, I'm for all the above when it comes to energy sources, but I know this, I'm for drilling the oil reserves we got. I'm for taking advantage of all the natural gas reserves we got all across this country, and I don't want the government to tell me where we need to be 50 years from now. I want the private sector to tell me. If somebody in the energy business wants to decide we're going to go nuclear, we're going to go wind, we're going to go bio, we're going to go whatever, then let the private sector tell us that. And in the interim, let's drill for what we got and take advantage of the sources we got. 11% of our energy or oil comes from Venezuela. It's 60% of his sales. Why wouldn't we just beef up 11% of our energy and cut Chavez off? We wouldn't have to move an army in there. This is the greatest country in the world with the greatest resources. Those are the kind of things we need in leadership, saying we need to do these, we need to incentivize our entrepreneurs rather than penalize them, and good things will happen. So that's kind of the message I'm going to take with me as I go to Washington. I take it all over the state, and it's one that I think is being heard loud and clear. We need business people in Washington. Because I'm telling you, if you listen to TV or watch the news, right now we've got a situation where this administration is pitting groups against individuals. I mean, we watch television all the time, and we're all being put in a group. We're left-handed, we're right-handed, we went to college, we didn't go to college. Everybody's being put in a group. But this country wasn't built on strong groups. I think all of us would understand it was built on strong individuals. Individual freedom, individual responsibility, individual opportunity, and that's what we need to get back to, individuals who get us out of this mess. And some people don't like me to use the word, but I'm really concerned about the pathway we're going down economically, like we all are. And I know when I see the government owning everything, owning health care, owning the auto manufacturers, owning the student loan program, just owning, that really concerns me. It is a form, I believe, of socialism, and I think we got to understand that. And we can't take our country down that path when you see them naming czars that don't have they don't have any confirmation. They're making money. We don't know how much they're making, what they're responsible for. The government's out of control. We got to get it back to where it's much smaller, and frankly, it's socialism versus entrepreneurship. Capitalism. The greatest system there is in the world is what we realize. Invest 100, make 100, invest 100, lose 100. Let's get back to that. That's the message we got to drive home. And it is not a message that can wait till 2016 or 2020. It's a message that people begin to state that I'm tired of it in 2010. We got to finish it off in 2012. I have a lot of my friends in the business world say, Roger, I'm for you. You can count on me, but I want you to know I hate politicians and I hate politics. Well, that's one of the reasons. I don't hate anybody, but that's one of the reasons I'm running. It's a mess. But I would say to all of us as entrepreneurs and business leaders, you can't hate, you can't be angry right now. You got to be aware. It's time for all of us to stand up and say enough is enough. You don't have to run for the Senate. You don't have to run for anything. But you have a huge circle of influence on people that look at what you think and want to know what you think. And now's the time to voice your opinion and say, you know, we're going to take our business back. We're going to take our country back and get it on the right track. It truly, truly is our time. And I think it's very, very important that we understand that we don't bury our head, because a lot of our friends in business don't really realize what has happened to our country the last 2 years of the dismantling of America. A lot of people haven't realized that because they're working so doggone hard to keep their business going, get their kids through school, make sure they meet their payrolls. A lot of them don't realize what's happening. And that's where we come in play, is we got to make sure they do and talk to them, and then make sure they get out and vote and do what they got to do and send their message. So that's kind of where we are. That's who I am. I am literally a business guy running for the United States Senate. I can't win unless I'm strong in Harris County. We're strong all over. We got endorsed by President Bush the other day. We're doing really well in our money raising, but we're going to need everybody to support us. And I hope that you'll get online, check us out, and you know, if you need somebody to come speak, talk, or whatever, you hear my message, we'll be more than glad to do it. We will be down here a bunch. But I am an entrepreneur, and that is a word that's being attacked right now. And when you look in the paper today, I think it was a Houston paper, did you see income in America from tax revenue is down the lowest it's ever been last year since the Truman days, okay? Never been lower than what it was this past year since Truman. And right now they're already saying, well, we got to raise taxes. Well, why is it lower? Because it's low because we've got high unemployment. None of us will take a risk. None of us will hire anybody. We've got people out past over 99 months drawn unemployment, okay? We're having to pay for that. You know, you don't raise taxes, you lower taxes, you cut spending, serious cuts, to create net worth in America, and we can get ourselves back on track. But it's going to happen now. I look forward to being your next U.S. Senator, and I will just say this, Secretary James Baker, who all of you know from Houston, told me the other day, he said, Roger, you know, you can sit on the porch and watch the parade from the porch, or you can get off the porch and lead the parade down Main Street. I've chosen to lead it down Main Street. You all have been doing that forever, being in business and taking the entrepreneur spirit. We need to ramp it up and speed it up a little bit more now than ever. Thomas Jefferson told us. Thomas Jefferson said, when the people fear the government, it's called tyranny, but when the government fears the people, it's called liberty. And we need to get back to that. I am one person that you'll send in the United States Senate, but I will be a voice for everything we've talked about today. And if anything, I'll be a speed bump to slow it down until the rest of you can get up there and help us. So thanks for having me here, George. You're a good man. I would just... And I would just say thank you again for what you're doing. And the last thing I'll say, I spoke at Mount Rushmore the other day, and if any of you have been up at Mount Rushmore, I think it tells a story, and then I'll sit down. Mount Rushmore, when you look up at Mount Rushmore, you see George Washington up there, and he's telling everybody, let's have the greatest country there is in the world. We can do it. We can do it. We can create a great country where everybody can be successful in whatever form or fashion they want to be. And you got Thomas Jefferson looking at him and said, hey, George, that's a great idea, but let's create some states. Let's create the states that will tell the government what to do, not vice versa, and let the states be the laboratories of this great country. And then you got Teddy Roosevelt looking it all up, and he say, time out, guys. The Lord gave us some great things in America, some great environmental things that we need to take care and make sure we use them to our benefit. And what was he saying? I think he was saying drill, baby, drill, is what I think he was saying. And then you got George Washington there. I mean, you got Abraham Lincoln there looking at all of them, and Abraham Lincoln said in 1863, America is the last great hope in the world today. Well, it was true when he said it in 1863. It is totally true today. And it will be true tomorrow if all of us do what we got to do as individuals, step up and say, I'm going to make my country great for me, my kids, and my grandkids. We can do it. Count on me. May God bless all of you, and thanks for having me. Thank you.